you. Good afternoon, everyone. The Sacramento City Council, please come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Mayor Pro Tem Ashby.
Here.
Councilmember Loloe.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here, Mindy, can you turn your mic down a bit?
Will do. Councilmember Valenzuela.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chenier.
Here.
Councilmember Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Vang.
Here.
And Mayor Steinberg.
I'm here. Good afternoon to everyone. Councilmember Harris, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yeah, me too, Mayor. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. We have a relatively short agenda, I think, this afternoon. Of course, we meet again at 5 o'clock to hear from our young leaders in Sacramento. Really look forward to that. Why don't we begin with the consent calendar? Are there items that members would like removed for separate consideration or to stay on consent, but to discuss them?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Valenzuela.
Thank you. I'd love to pull item 3 for some discussion and then item 5 just for a separate vote.
Okay, 3 and 5. Very good. Anybody else? I'm sorry, I'm going to get my prompt here. I don't see anybody else.
I'll move the remainder of the calendar.
Second.
Okay, that is 1 through 14 with the exceptions of 3 and 5. It's moved and seconded. Do we have public testimony?
I have no hands raised on the consent calendar. I believe only 5 was a separate vote. Is that accurate?
3 and 5.
Thank you.
Okay, let's call the roll, please.
So
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, wait, Mr. Councilman.
my apologies. I don't want to pull anything. Everything's great. Item 9, I just like to make a comment on it, but everything else is perfect.
Why don't you make the comment now?
Okay, I just wanted to thank the staff, especially the real estate team, and Mr. and Mrs. One Kennel Redmond, who were the sellers and we were the buyers. That made it possible for us to buy a building that's going to be the future site of the library for the District 2. So I wanted to thank all the parties involved. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, and to the staff. All right, let's call the roll on the items.
So this is the consent calendar with the exception of item 3 and 5. Mayor Pro Tem Ashby.
Yes, and congratulations to Councilmember Loloe on item 9.
Councilmember Loloe.
Aye, and thank you very much, Council Member. Without you, it would not be possible. So thank you.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chenier.
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra.
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings.
Aye, and I too want to congratulate Councilmember Loloe on item number 9. Great opportunity for our library system.
Councilmember Vang.
Yes.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Congratulations, Council Member. I'm an aye. Very good. That passes.
Mindy, you forgot me already.
Did I not call Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, that was Freudian. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Okay. Let's go back then to the items Councilmember Valenzuela has to talk about and consider separately. Let's go with item 3 first. Councilmember?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you. I have no concern with the contract going to Pride. However, I did hear from representatives of SEIU UHWW that while I have an agreement with Pride, that agreement hasn't been signed yet. So I was wondering from staff if there'd be any problem delaying this item until we hear back from the unions if that issue's been settled. I just really think, I know it's not a requirement for them to have an agreement with one of our represented groups, but I think it's important to make sure that our contractors adhere by the same standards we hold ourselves to. So we'll just like to hear from staff if there's any problem delaying this item until that labor agreement can be finalized.
Who is handling this one?
So, hi, it's Dawn Holm, Director of Finance. And the challenge we have is that the current contractor is pulling out the end of August. They have Pride has a contract with SEIU through the end of August. And if we don't get this new contractor in place, we will, have a gap in service. And so there's nothing in our contract, to my knowledge, that requires them to sign this agreement. And it's really between them and SEIU. I mean, they have a current agreement, so we believe they're in the works on a new agreement. Any delay, it's just, if we push it, it just risks less time to transition and get the new contractor up to speed on this.
So let me just ask you a question, if I might, Councilmember Valenzuela. Sometimes a short delay, can prod parties to come to an agreement. But do we know, for example, if we put this off for 1 week or 2 weeks, whether or not that would in fact make a difference? And what if we get 2 weeks from now and they still haven't, for whatever reason, worked out their contract?
Well, as far as I understand it, Mayor, the two parties have agreed on a contract. It just hasn't been signed. For some reason, there's just been a delay in Pride signing the contract with SEIU. So I don't think there's any difference between the parties. I just want to make sure that everything's okay before we move forward, if that's something we can do.
Members, anybody want to?
Mayor, in a situation like that, it seems to me that the detriment is not worth the delay. I mean, if it seems imminent and likely and there's stress by delaying the vote, my preference would be to accept it now.
Okay, I mean, I know I'd be happy with you, Councilmember Valenzuela, or separately to get on the phone with the Pride folks and make sure that there isn't, any kind of a problem. Doesn't sound like sometimes, we use the word, we all know the word leverage a little bit, but it doesn't sound, like you said, they have an agreement. So it's just a matter of them signing it. So I'm just trying to understand.
Mayor, this is I'm sorry, I have my hand up, but I know it's difficult to see.
I'm sorry, who's got their hand up?
Susanna Wood.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to advise the council that the initial request that went out did not make as a requirement, and that went out by the city did not make as a requirement a contract with SEIU. So the city's role here is really if you act to approve this contract, they actually have a contract with SEIU right now. And so there's really no legal role for the city to require that a contract be made.
No, we understand, but the council members have the right to vote, under whatever, balance and judgment they deem. So,
Mayor, may I chime in here for a second?
yes, city manager, go ahead.
So in talking with the staff too, I think I wanted to clarify, Dawn, and maybe Diana's on the call here too. This is the contract that supports our convention center and the whole C3 complex, along with Old Sacramento. And I would just be concerned in delaying it in that we would have a break in service and it would cause unintended consequences in that break in service.
Okay, I mean, okay, my view is, I think, I understand the request. I don't necessarily see the cause and effect in terms of delay and then that making a difference. I would be willing to support this today, but then, like I said, get on the phone with Pride Industries as mayor of the city and urge them to sign the contract if one has been agreed to, and I would be happy to do that. Is there any other council member? Councilman Guerra?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Mr. Mayor, that we've got a good relationship with Pride and a longstanding one, both in my council district and with the city. So I think this is something that I think we can resolve quickly after moving forward, rather than delaying. We've had a good working relationship with the janitors to get this done. So and if there is challenges with that, I haven't heard any at this point. So I'm comfortable with moving forward here, but glad to schedule a meeting right after this council meeting.
Agreed, Mayor. I don't see the issue either. We have such a great relationship with Pride. If Councilmember Harris's comments were a motion to move this item forward, I'd be happy to second it.
Yeah, so I would like to move the item as it stands, Mayor, with the condition that you'll make your call and see if you can just nudge this thing forward.
Second.
I appreciate that, Mayor and colleagues. So yeah, happy to support that motion. Just wanted to make sure we didn't lose an opportunity to help our friends in labor. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's call the roll, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashby,
Yes.
Councilmember Laloe,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chenier,
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra,
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings, Councilmember Jennings,
Yes.
Councilmember Vang,
Yes.
and Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. All right. Thank you. That passes unanimously. Let's go to number 5, please.
And I didn't need any discussion on this, Mayor. I just was hoping for a separate vote, unless any of my colleagues have questions.
Okay. Councilman Laloe, do you have a comment on this one?
On number 5?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so Councilmember Valenzuela, do you want to move number 5 then, please?
Yes, move number 5.
Okay. Second? Is there a second?
I will second that, Mayor.
Second by Councilmember Jennings. Let's no public testimony. Let's call the roll.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Ashby,
Yes.
Councilmember Laloe,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela,
No.
Vice Mayor Chenier,
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra, Councilmember Guerra,
Aye. Sorry, I was on mute.
Councilmember Jennings,
Yes.
Councilmember Vang,
Yes.
and Mayor Steinberg.
Yes, thank you. That passes 8-1. All right, we move to our one public hearing for the afternoon, and that is regarding the Planning and Development Department, the omnibus ordinance. Let's hear all 1,000 pieces of this, please.
Thank you and good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. My name is Garrett Norman, Associate Planner, and I'm here to present the 2021 Title 17 Omnibus Ordinance, or often referred to as the bundle. Staff proposes an omnibus ordinance for the Planning and Development Code on a regular basis to help keep it internally consistent and up to date. As such, most of the amendments are cleanup items that delete old code references or fix typographic errors. However, at times, amendments include requests from the council, provide consistency with changes to state law, or other pertinent amendments proposed by staff, and which I will briefly highlight in my presentation now. Included in the ordinance is an amendment to industrial zones, which would add a conditional use permit requirement by the zoning administrator to establish a market garden or community garden. This amendment was requested by a council member who received concerns from constituents about the lack of public review process for agricultural uses in industrial areas. The CUP would ensure there is compatibility for these gardens within the surrounding industrial context. The second amendment is also at the request of a council member to allow for larger gas stations that can exceed fueling more than 10 vehicles at one time. The amendment would be for industrial zones only and would add a CUP provision for sites within 500 feet of a city designated truck route and a STAA truck route. The next amendment is limited to the highway commercial or HC zone and includes allowing businesses to apply for a CUP for alcohol sales for off-premise consumption. This land use is commonly found in other similar commercial zones, and this change provides greater consistency within our code. The next amendment is related to temporary residential shelters and consists of consolidating our regulations and removing locational restrictions to be consistent with changes to state law. Specifically, state law says the only locational restriction that can be imposed on a shelter is a distance of 300 feet between shelters. Our code currently notes a minimum separation of 1,000 feet. The last amendment I'd like to touch on is the indemnification requirement, which would require applicants to indemnify the city in the event of a lawsuit over a project approval or denial. It would only apply if the city attorney's office does not have the necessary resources to cover the lawsuit and needs to use outside counsel, or in the event the city loses. It also only applies to lawsuits filed by a third party, such as a neighbor. This amendment would help minimize risk to the city's budget. The remaining amendments in the ordinance are more administrative cleanup items. If the council would like to discuss any of these, staff is prepared to do so. The Planning and Design Commission unanimously passed a motion recommending approval of the ordinance. And staff first presented this ordinance to Law and Ledge on April 20th, where the committee requested staff conduct more outreach with the community garden and industrial manufacturing stakeholders related to the amendment to require a CUP for community and market gardens in industrial zones. The outreach was completed and staff returned to Law and Ledge on June 1st. The committee passed a motion to approve the ordinance, but with the removal of one amendment that allowed the planning director the ability to initiate code changes to special planning districts. Per the Law and Ledge motion, this amendment has been removed from the ordinance. Staff is recommending the council pass a motion to adopt the attached resolution and ordinance, and we are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Norman. Is there public testimony on the item?
I have no hands raised on this item.
Okay, do we have members? I do have members. Mayor Pro Tem Ashby, Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of concerns. My concerns are on page 9, and they are around section 11, 12, 14, 15, which is all one, and then 17. On 11, 12, 14, 15, this is, to me, seems very gas centric. It is a modification that would basically allow more gas and a lot of it. Although I think I understand after talking to Tom Pace why the council member recommended this, and I probably could be okay with it with one change. Although I still think it's it sort of goes in the opposite direction of where we're headed with other discussions around climate. But on this, and I'm not sure which staff person, Tom, probably you, but it calls for, it still requires a CUP from the Planning and Design Commission as a requirement. Would it also allow for a council approval, or does it end at Planning and Design Commission?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ashby. Yes, the item does require approval at Planning and Design Commission and would be appealable to City Council.
Okay. I can just tell you that, I mean, from my standpoint, I've been through this recently, as many of you know, with the community, and it's not that they never want to see another gas station, but it is a pretty tricky one to get through, as Vice Mayor Chenier can tell you, and I can certainly tell you. I think I could potentially be okay with it with the council call-up provision in there, as long as it's really clear that it can be called up for council or by a council member. It's not as clear in this report, but if it is in your, if you could spell it out exactly in the section that it is that it can be called up for council approval, I think I could be okay with that. And then the second section that I actually have a bigger problem with is 17. And Tom, I just need to understand on part 1, allowing commercial services as permitted by right land use in the highway commercial zone. How is this piece a change? The postal services beauty salon component. How is part 1 a change?
Currently, those commercial services are not allowed in the highway commercial zone. So this is
by right
would allow them. They're not allowed at all.
Okay. Okay, that piece I'm okay with. But the second piece, where we would sort of automatically allow gas stations in a commercial zone to sell alcohol, I am definitely not okay with. And so I would like to make a motion that we move the omnibus, but remove that component and leave it as it currently stands, which is that it requires a conditional use permit. Otherwise, I think I'm okay. I don't want to, and I know Councilmember Guerra has some things there in 11, 12, 14, 15, and I think I can be okay with it, Councilmember Guerra. So I'm not going to tinker with those items as long as it's okay that it specifically states that that if you do one of the larger gas stations, which I think is, you know, aimed at trucks, which is probably a good thing, and more diesel than than traditional gas stations. Still needs to be council approval if the council member wants to be able to pull it up. And I'm okay with part 1 on 17, but the second piece, I would like to pull that out and not include it in my motion. Therefore, not allowing alcohol sales automatically with gas stations in commercial zones. Is that clear, Mr. Pace?
Yes, and that's specific to the highway commercial zone, not allowing the ability to apply for alcohol sales in the highway commercial zone.
So
currently it's not permitted at all. So a gas station could not get a conditional use permit to sell alcohol in the highway commercial zone. The proposed amendment would make it possible for an applicant to request a conditional use permit to add alcohol sales. And as we've seen, many gas stations rely on the alcohol sales to make their business model work. So currently in the highway commercial zone, they cannot have alcohol sales.
yeah, and I think the reason that we had done this before is because you're talking about off-site sales. So the commercial zones are targeting people who are driving. And so based on DUI and all of that, we are trying not to sell more alcohol along the highway zone. So that's why I want to stick with it. I don't think we should sell alcohol in the gas stations along the highway zone. I think that's a bad idea. I think it leads towards other problems that we already have with drinking and driving. And I don't see a benefit to it. We already have ample locations to buy alcohol around this city. I don't see a need to add more. So that's my motion. Thank you.
Mayor, can I ask a clarifying question?
Well, Councilmember Get up next, if he's willing to cede the floor for a moment. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll cede the floor, Jeff, if you want to.
Thank you.
I'm fine with this.
This is quick. Councilmember Ashby, you asked for council call-up, which is different than appealing to the Planning and Design Commission. So, Tom, can you address that, please? Because as it's written, it would be appealable, but Councilmember Ashby is actually asking for a council call-up, which would be a change, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, Councilmember Guerra, for giving me that moment.
Go ahead, Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. I think I'd support it if on section 3, part 3, where it says Planning and Design Commission, CUP will still be required and appealable to the council. If it's stated in that way, I could second the motion, including the exclusion of section 17. And this is supposed to be an omnibus bill, so it shouldn't be controversial. So if the sale of additional alcohols on commercial highway zones is going to be controversial, then that should come back as its own item in that case. But as far as it being a council call-up, I think the appealable of the Planning Commission is enough because you're allowing a public review process and the ability for the local community to be engaged in the CUP process. Also, this approach helps us address and minimize the number of gas stations in trying to actually find better locations for the heavy duty trucks rather than having multiple gas stations with all over the industrial area. So I'll second the motion if it just says on part 3 there that a Planning and Design Commission CUP will be still required and appealable to the council. Just for your clarity, I think what you were asking for.
Councilmember Guerra, so you mean appealable to the council if a council member wants to call it up? Not an automatic call up, but a council member could call it up.
No, it has to go through Planning and Design Commission. I would support that. I think it's a different situation.
Yeah, okay. I think we're saying the same thing, so I think we agree. I just want to make sure that I understand what you're suggesting. Obviously, planning and design, I'm fine with that too. And if it goes through planning and design and nobody seems to mind, that's fine. But if the community's called question and you say it's in your district and you want to call it up to council, you would be able to do so, even if planning had approved it or denied it, whichever way you wanted to do the opposite, you'd be able to call it up. That's what you're saying?
I would say no. What I would say is at that point that if it's appealed to the council, then yes. So whether it's the community or whether it's the what do you call it, the applicant, that we follow that process, because that's what happens in this.
So
that's
you're
what would
saying
happen in
a
this
third party would need to do the appeal and not the council member? Because right now a council member can do that too.
Well, Mr. Pace, is that in this situation, isn't that what the current status is?
Yeah, currently it would be subject to appeal, but not call up. We only have call up provisions for cannabis applications, and we have in the works, going through the legislative process right now, a proposal to allow call up for drive-through restaurants, which has not yet reached the council. But
right. So the question is, Councilmember Guetta, is, are you okay with both call up and appeal?
Yeah, I would be okay with that. I mean, look, I think we're starting to go down a slippery slope. We did it for cannabis clearly because it was a new policy area here. And then given the fact that it is larger truck stations, that a council member could call that up. So if it's specific to this area, then I would be comfortable with that secondary. But I would caution that at some point we start calling up everything here, and then we lose the relevance of having a citizen and planning and design commission. At what point then do we have our citizens, advisory body participating in the land use authority?
Well, we can always draw the line, right, wherever we choose as a body. But it sounds like there may be agreement here between.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, Mayor. It's great.
Okay, good. So that's good, and let's be wary of the slippery slope. I agree. Okay, so Councilman Harris, did you have a question as well?
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to talk about the idea that was proposed by the Planning and Design Commission about balconies and the 3-foot width. I'd just like to say that I'm supportive of making the minimum at 3 foot, even though the PDC thought that perhaps that was not the best idea. I think it works well, and it is a minimum. If somebody wants to project a balcony farther, they can. We talked about this at Law and Ledge. I think it's been well vetted, and so I'm supportive of the motion as it stands.
Okay, we've got a motion then and a second. There's no other public testimony, no other council comments. Let's call the roll, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashby, would you mind opening and closing the public hearing?
You bet.
Thank you. And roll call, Mayor Pro Tem Ashby.
Yes.
Councilmember Laloe.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chenier.
Aye.
Councilmember Guetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings.
Yes.
Councilmember Vang.
Yes.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. All right. That concludes the formal agenda for today. Are there members of the public who want to testify on items not on the agenda?
Mayor, I have one hand raised. Rich Eaton.
All right. Let's hear from Mr. Eaton.
Mr. Eaton.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Please proceed.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Rich Eaton. I own property in District 3, and I would like to ask the council, I would like to beg the council, and I would like to see the council go to Railroad Drive, park your car, walk around, and see what we have to live in every day, 24 hours a day, for the last year and a half since you took your shelter away from Railroad Drive and abandoned us. You're hiding behind Boise v. Martin by not doing anything to solve the problem of illegally parked cars. And I would like to see something done with it, about it. I would like to work with you to solve the problem. I've been trying to work with you all to solve the problem. Mr. Harris comes and goes. has a little bit of help. Mr. Mayor avoids me, will not return emails or calls. This is going to go to litigation, and we're all going to lose. So one more time, I'm begging for help on Railroad Drive. $500,000 in taxes paid, over $100,000 in damages, and you all sit on your hands and hide behind Boise v. Martin and try to do nothing. The time to do nothing's coming to an end. One more olive branch to do this together, or it's going to go to litigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Mayor, I have no other callers.
Thank you, Mr. Eaton. I have not gotten your emails. I'm happy to try to connect with you and reach out, and we'll do so. All right, members, are there council ideas and questions? I know I have something that I want to raise, or any other members. Go ahead, Councilmember Valenzuela and Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment to thank city staff for the quick response and organizing around Old Sacramento, and particularly our community-based partners who came out and really garnered a lot of resources to help keep folks safe in Old Sacramento after the tragic shooting a little over a week and a half ago. I do want to just highlight for my colleagues the movement around just focusing on the youth that are coming to Old Sacramento and the need for violence prevention resources, additional violence prevention resources, since we really don't want to pull from other parts of the city where those resources are desperately needed from recent funding and grants that we've partnered with. So just wanted to let my colleagues know that I will be asking as part of the ARP funding for at least $500,000 for additional violence prevention resources to enable us to get boots on the ground in Old Sac that can help us prevent another tragedy from occurring. So thank you, Mayor, for the time, and I'm looking forward to continuing the work with city staff on this critical issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to respond a little bit to Rich Eaton's comments. You know, we did start the railroad shelter, and since then there have been various stressors in that stretch. I am very grateful to Rich for participating with us on the lease of the building to create the railroad shelter. And I agree, there are problems on Railroad Drive. There are problems on Commerce Circle. There are numerous problems associated with the impacts of homelessness throughout the city. I would like to say that we are working on those problems, and specifically, you know, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow to talk about various responses that we can do to solve certain issues. I think that meeting combined with the siting, master homeless siting plan, are going to create some answers to a lot of these conditions. And I look forward to moving forward on addressing these issues. Mr. Eaton is not the only person who calls in. I'm sure that every council member gets complaints from the business community and certainly residents in their areas about our response to the effects of homelessness, but we're moving, I think, in a positive direction. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Harris. I want to make a comment, if I might. I'm glad you mentioned, 2 weeks from today, we are going to take up the long-awaited master siting plan. I'm also intending to present on that date a draft finance plan as well to implement the siting plan, as well as a presentation from some of our friends at the Urban Land Institute around what a vision of safe ground can look like as we build to scale. But I want to talk about something else for a moment, as if we don't have enough challenges in our city. We cannot say with confidence that COVID is behind us. We all are reading and hearing and maybe even experiencing the increase in infections, our positivity rate, the Delta variant, predominantly among people who have not gotten vaccinated. And yesterday, the governor of the state of California, Governor Newsom, put out an executive order in which he essentially ordered that all state workers get vaccinated. And if they don't, that they would be tested on a regular basis to ensure that they are not at the workplace with the COVID virus. I believe strongly that this idea is also the right idea for the city of Sacramento and its workforce for several reasons. Number one, the city should lead the way. If we cannot mandate vaccinations across the city because of the FDA problem, we can certainly model the kind of action and behavior that we know is necessary to finally put this dreadful period of time and all this suffering behind us and to continue to do our part. Now, I know that this has become a popularized issue of individual rights. I don't believe this is about individual rights. And certainly individual rights are not absolute. They must be balanced against the health and safety for all people in any particular workforce and in the community at large. And when we balance whatever individual rights some might put forward to say, I have the right to not get vaccinated, it is far outweighed by the continuing impact of COVID in our community, in our state, and in our country. And I would ask the city manager to please bring back to the city a policy direction on this issue right away. And I also understand that these issues invoke and require collective bargaining and consultation with our labor partners in the city. And I think that's a good thing, because I think they care just as much about a safe workplace as anybody, and that we ought to begin those consultations with them right away and let us be the model, or at least a model among all the cities in this state that says our workforce is fully vaccinated. The rates are way too low in our community. I mean, the last reporting, less than half the people in the county, city and county, are fully vaccinated. This is crazy making. When polio was an epidemic in this country decades ago, and Jonas Salk invented the polio vaccine, people took the vaccine and we eradicated polio. This is not a question of individual rights. This is a question of protecting the public health and safety in our city and in our workforce. And I believe that it would be so easy to say, well, this is, for the state government or the federal government to solve. We can do our part here, and we ought to. And I'd ask that this item be brought forward for our discussion and consideration over the next week. Thank you.
Mayor, may I chime in?
Yeah.
So we have been having these conversations within the organization, our HR, city attorney's office, but more importantly, I've been having it with my colleagues in the region, the other city managers within Sac County. And I would love to bring something back. I don't want to rush anything back here in advance of meeting with our labor partners. So I'd like to provide an update next week to the council first before bringing it back to an open session discussion about where we are with this. And we're analyzing the governor's executive order now to see how it applies, how it could apply to what you're talking about. So
yeah, a couple of responses. No, a couple of responses. That's fine, Mr. City Manager, of course, because that's an important part of respect for our organized workforce and to seek those consultations. But I just don't want too much time to go by, because time is of the essence here. And
yeah, I will provide an update within the week, and then we can schedule a time to come back and, if warranted, have a conversation in open session.
Appreciate it very much. Okay, members, I've got Councilmember Harris up again. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. I believe we do not have a council meeting next week. Is that correct?
We do on the 5th, because next week is National Night Out. So we have a meeting on the Thursday.
I think the meeting on Thursday has been canceled.
Exactly.
I guess we don't have a meeting next week. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. City Manager, that gives us 2 weeks then. If we could complete the consultation with our labor partners over these next 2 weeks, and you and I can then discuss iteratively when and if it is necessary and appropriate to bring the matter back before the city council, our next meeting 2 weeks from now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I did have a comment first.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being so bold to bring this up. It's a sensitive topic, but there is tremendous concern, certainly on the part of the city, in terms of managing our economic recovery and the threat to that through the lack of vaccination rates and the rise in infections. I just want to thank you for being bold enough to bring this up and push the issue.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Harris. Okay, if there's nothing else to come before the council, we will reconvene for the late afternoon, evening meeting at 5 o'clock. Do we have a closed session in between?
We have a
Yes,
4
we do.
p.m. closed session.
4 p.m. closed session. So we'll see you all in closed session at 4 o'clock. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.